Hi, baby angels. Hello. I'm back. It's BB, and I am here to do a video that is not a deck collection video just quite. It is decks that I am passing on, that are leaving my collection, and what I want to utilize in my collection in place of those. So it's very much inspired by Boho Tarot, Lisa Pepez. Maybe there might be others who have done this too. So I'll try to link all of the channels that I have seen kind of doing this, and I'm very inspired by it. So it's kind of a lot of decks that I didn't think that I was going to get rid of, but I feel like if I'm being very discerning and I'm really looking at what I use, what I don't use enough, what I want to make like less of a thought process for me, is probably eliminating things out of my collection. And then if I'm trying to, as Lisa Pepez says, scratch an itch for a certain type of art or a certain type of reading, maybe I will go to the ones that I really love that I underuse, and not kind of look at 3 different decks and go, well, which one should I use? Does that make sense? Okay, I'm gonna get started. There's 2 categories, I guess, for this right now. Oh, I also wanted to, I'm like stalling. I swear I'm not stalling here. I'll put something here. I also wanted to give a shout out to Candy Soul and Soil for introducing, to me at least, and what it seems like the tarot tube community, to the idea of the fantasy self, because that really made me look at my decks differently and what I want to bring in, what I want to remove, what I want to change about my own practice. So thank you, Candy. I don't think you know who I am, but I appreciate you. Okay, so the first category is decks that I am getting rid of, that I don't have replacements in a sense for. Either I don't have the replacement yet in hand, I don't own it, or I'm just using a different version. So I guess let's just knock them out together. The Spiral Tarot, I talked about this in my deck collection playlist. I really don't enjoy these borders, and it really takes away, like, it detracts from the images and the art, but the art is incredible. And Meg from Rose Honey Ritual wonderfully kindly informed me that there were multiple decks by this artist, and so I have purchased the Celestial Tarot. It's on its way now, and so I think that'll be a great replacement for the Spiral, which if US Games ever does a new version of the Spiral, I might consider repurchasing it, but as of right now, I don't really want to get rid of the borders. It will be too small. I just feel like it's a disservice to the art itself, and I'd rather get a deck that is less distracting. So that's the Spiral, which will be on the chopping block, or is on the chopping block. I've had the She-Wolf for a long time. This is an earlier version, as you can tell if you have the later version. And I just recently saw a video of kind of comparing the two, and I really like the newer version better, and I thought, well, maybe I can find that, and I did. It's still available as of now, I believe. So I even wasn't sure, so like I didn't get rid of this yet, and I did a side-by-side for myself, and yes, I think maybe there was only one card that I liked better in this deck than in the new one. So this one will find a new home, and I think I'll get more use out of it, because the new one, there's a lot to love about it. There's a lot of improvements, and even just the coloration. There are tons of side-by-side walkthroughs, so I didn't really plan on doing one. But the coloration of the new edition is more saturated. There's more gradient in there. it's really beautiful, and I'm really happy that I was able to get that one. Gorgons I do love, but as people have criticized, it's very large. And I said this in my previous video when I featured this, that I don't mind that they're big, but even just the fact that it's in a big box, I don't grab it very often. So Mixed Ray, a lovely tarot tuber and new Instagram friend, offered to send me the smaller version. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. I sent her my Voyager tarot that I didn't really connect with, and she's sending me the smaller version of this. So I am going to pass this on, but as I've been told, the smaller version doesn't have the guidebook. So I think I'm going to try to pass this on without the guidebook. I don't know how well that's going to go, but that's where we're at. So those are my decks that I don't have anything to show in replacement for you at the moment. Let's get into my other ones. Let's see. Okay, I guess we can start with a controversial. I think some of them are controversial. I love Usi. I love the Pagan Otherworlds tarot, but I don't feel drawn to use it, kind of at all. It has been described as kind of cold or disconnected emotionally, and I really do feel that. And I think my favorite cards of this deck are like the aces and things like that. And this is one of those where I'm such a fan and appreciator of wonderful quality and kind of just this whole aesthetic, especially in the box and this font and old world. I never even took the seal off. I had a really great tip from someone a long time ago to open it from the bottom, so that's what I do. But I don't know, it makes me so sad just to talk about it, but I don't feel like I'll get use out of it. I think I need maybe the Aeros Tarot, which is one that Usi also does. So in place of this deck, I have a couple options that I can pull, I can use. So kind of medieval Scapini, even though it doesn't have the production quality of Pagan Otherworlds, is really what I want Pagan Otherworlds to be. And so I think that just kind of removing this as an option from my collection will only draw me towards this more, along with another Usi created deck, the Supra Oracle. This, I still get the quality, and I get the beautiful high-end design, the classical historical design, and it's an oracle, so I can use it with lots of different tarot, and it's Jungian. I talked about it in my collection videos, but I really do enjoy this. I have some learning to do with this. I think I need to read the book before I start using it again, because I was having issues with some of the cards. But yeah, I think especially these two together, great, super great. The Aeros deck that I'm talking about from Usi, it's, I think, Aeros, the Garden of Love. And I think having an Usi tarot deck is important to me, but I think that's going to hit the nail on the head better for me than the Pagan Otherworlds. And I've really learned my lesson. So maybe this is, as Candy says, it's my fantasy self really loves and uses this, but when it comes down to it, it's a type of earthy and a type of also like unattached that I don't vibe with on more than an artistic level. So it's a bummer, but it's just true. It's the truth. It's hard. This is hard. It's hard to confront your fantasy self. But I think it'll be good. And Aeros has such a great like comedy to it, and it has an irreverence and a sexuality to it that I love, love, love. So I think that will be good. Okay, so the next deck I am getting rid of is the Ethereal Visions Illuminated Tarot deck by Matt Hughes. Oh, it's upside down on the back. This is one where I do have the second version, which is the Luna edition, and it is very different in this one's gilded and this one has like a holographic foiling, and I do really appreciate both, but I tend to not reach for either because I have both for some reason. And when it comes down to it, I can't keep this just because it's beautiful. I don't love it enough to keep it just because it's beautiful, and it's not different enough to keep it just because it's beautiful. I want to get use out of this one, and it's just as beautiful, it's just different, and it's by the same creator. So, you know, something like maybe Tarot as Color by Ethel Conquin, like that, maybe I won't use very often because it's so abstract and it's so cerebral and it's so striking and different. But I don't have a replacement for it, so I'm not going to get rid of it, and it serves a completely different purpose, if that makes sense. Another deck that I feel like can fill the void of the Ethereal Visions Illuminated is the Amor, it's Psyche Oracle, and I am fully aware, before anyone comes for me, that I know that these are two different art styles. I know that this is Nouveau and this is Art Deco, or more of a transition from Nouveau to Art Deco, but those two, I don't know if, for people who haven't studied art history, those two movements in art were kind of butted up against each other. Like this was oh, sorry, I hit my camera. This was more of the Edwardian era and moving into the 20s and 30s. And so these were like the 1900s into the 1910s, and this was the 20s to the 30s. So it feels very similar. It's just as romantic, it just in a slightly different way. And this isn't like high deco. Like it doesn't feel metropolis to me. It still feels organic and gardeny and, you know. So if that makes any sense to you, I think instead of this deck, I am going to go with these two decks. And I just realized I wasn't showing you individual cards. I guess I can do that. Do you want me to back up for a second? Okay, we're not going to rediscuss my first grouping, but I guess it is important for you to see, especially if you don't have these decks, what I am talking about. I hope this isn't going to be like the longest video ever. I'm really sorry. Have you ever heard that like meme where they say, "It's not my first rodeo," and then there's like a slight pause and they're like, "It's my second rodeo." Like that's how I feel. I don't make collection videos anymore, but I'm new to everything else. Okay, so let's see if I can fit. Hello? Everyone has these wonderful tapestries, and I just have these thin scarves, and I really need to like get on it and get like a thicker tapestry that is a better base for my videos. But I do love this one. It's beautiful. I don't remember where I got it. I think maybe Urban Outfitters years ago. Okay. So this is the one I'm getting rid of. Let's get a better one. Here we go. And these two, okay, I'm like, one I like more. One that isn't just a person standing. And these are the ones that I'm keeping. Does that make sense? You know? I just feel like these have more use for me. It's it's like undeniably beautiful. I can't argue differently. I'm not going to try. Even looking at this one just like breaks my heart. But like it's just not my brand, and I'm not pretending anymore that it is. Like, these more so are. End of story. Okay, so I'm not gonna spend more time on these, but you get it, you see it, you see it, you see. Okay. And then let's go back to these, and I'll show you very quickly. I probably should have prepared and like opened all my books, but you know, why make it easy when I can just ASMR, like, you know, opening decks. All right. So I know this has a very different vibe, but you feel me? You feel what I'm about here? It's beautiful. It's really, really gorgeous. But I like more inclusivity in my decks when I can have it, and this is being offered to me. I have a lot of white decks. Let's do one more. And I feel like I have a lot of gold decks, which makes me feel a little bit better about keeping this one because it is so different. Gold foiling is very common in decks, and I'm not mad at it. I love this deck, but I think I need to rehome it because I think I'm doing myself a disservice. I'm not using it. And why hoard it? I do like the backs of this better than this one, which is a bummer. But maybe the backs of these make up for it, you know? All right, let's get rid of these and go to the next pairing. If it's a pairing, it might be more than that. I might need more like room. Okay. Okay, let's do a pairing to make it simple. We have got the tarot Mucha, another Art Nouveau. I think maybe I'm so critical about these Art Nouveau decks because I have such high expectations. This one just feels very mass market, and I am someone who's very attracted to independent decks and the quality of them. So, okay. So you've got the Tarot Mucha, sorry, keep saying that wrong. And the deck I want to use in place of it, the Blood Moon Tarot. And you might be saying, BB, what the heck? This is a fantasy deck. This is, I mean, it's kind of fantasy. Isn't that the style of Art Nouveau? It's like this hedonistic, utopian, like Dionysian? Comment below what the pronunciation of that is. But, you know, like, look at, they even have similarities. Like, there's both fruit in the boxes. So that's my thinking. Maybe I can do one of those things where I put them together and then I can flip them next to each other. I'm thinking that I love an organic, stylized, intricate type of artwork. But this feels very commodity. Like, does that make sense? And this is a deck that I underuse. So if they both give me a similar feeling, even though inarguably this is much darker and cooler toned and this is much warmer toned, which I'm usually drawn to darker toned anyway. Is this entire deck upside down? Maybe I should fix that. But it does have this very organic perspective, this fantasy perspective. It still has almost no like geometric or angled lines, hard angles. And I love this. I think that there will be more Art Nouveau decks to come, and I will hold out for the right one for me. And in the meantime, I will love and enjoy the Blood Moon Tarot and study it. And feel that sense of fantasy and beauty. With this one. I don't know why this is the one that like I was drawn to when it came to this, but it is what it is. I might even have kept this deck if the borders weren't this color. I'm not sure. But here we are. Okay. I'm like waiting for your approval. I'm waiting for someone to like validate me and be like, I see it. I get it. Don't worry. I'm just proud of myself for being able to let go of certain decks that I didn't want to in the past. Hold on, I'm doing a shift because I'm on the floor and my foot is killing me. Okay. All right. Next up is another mass market deck by Lo Scarabeo, the Romantic Tarot, which I really love artwork-wise and story-wise, but again, doesn't get use, and also is a little bit disconnected from, I don't know. It's fun to read about in a story, but like getting readings from it, it's not even that. I'm lying. I'm a liar. It gives great readings. It's not the aesthetic I want to use when I'm reading for myself, when I'm reading for other people, if I'm going to do videos and read. It's just not, it's not what I want. There are things about it that I love, and that's why I still have it. But I feel like purchasing the Tarot de Carlotydes has really filled the spot, and in more of a me way. And then the other reason, the other tarot I have is the Very Little Tarot. Oh no, the Very Little Tarot is going with something else. I was like reaching there for a second mentally being like, why did I put that in here? And it totally fell into the wrong pile. So, okay, so this is the one I have, and this is the one that is new and I think is going to replace this one. So let's look at these. I do love a rose back. I did mention that before when I talked about this deck. Not crazy about the soft yellow, but you know, it is what it is. I accepted it because I didn't really have anything like it. And now, they're smaller. And now I have these, and these are beautiful. I don't love them as much as a rose back, but I am very drawn to them, the color and the illustration. I'm just partial to roses because roses are my favorite flower because I'm cliche. But also I was born in June, so they are my flower. And right away, I see the connection. I see how this could translate to this. They're not even the same card, but you know what I mean? And I still love this type of art, but I'm pickier about old world art than I am more modern art. And I am aware this isn't like old world art. This is like 2000s, you know, talking about Victorian. But it's very white. It's very European. I know that's the point. But there's just an energy that this other one gives that I like. I'm drawn more to these unique decks. I think there's also confusion in my brain about, like, I love a period piece. I love historical fiction when it comes to, I'm talking visual media, like movies and TV. But these feel more visceral to me. Maybe it's just the art style that makes it like that, because this art style is very proper and this art style is very raw. Also, I apologize for the sound of the traffic. It's Friday at like, I don't know, 5:30 p.m. Is it 5:30? I don't know. It's around there. 4:30. I'm sure you've seen enough of this, but in being sad that I'm going to let this one go, even though the reality is that I don't use it, and I do love the art style in many ways, I don't know. I hate to be a perfectionist, but I just feel like with so many of my mass market decks, something feels off. Something feels not enough or not right. Like I want to improve it in some way, but I can't put my finger on what it is. And with this deck, because it's so different, I don't feel that way. The opposite even. I feel impressed and surprised by things constantly. Like, look at these little bunnies and their little collars. And the fact that this woman has fishnets on that are thigh highs, a sheer full skirt, red shoes, is topless, has gloves on, the type of jewelry. Like, I am so intrigued by all of that. So if I want this kind of upper class feeling, which this deck has, but then it also has kind of like peasants, and I guess this one does too, which is great. Like, I just feel like that's why I see them as very compatible, and that's why I feel like I can use this one and I can let this one go, even though my heart does love it. I don't know if my explanations are even, I don't know, understandable to people, or if I wish that, you know, when I was in school, I had such a vast vocabulary, and when I watch videos like Hannah Louise Poston, and I fully understand everything she's saying, but she's using words that I haven't used in years, and it really paints such a wonderful picture, and it's so clear to me what she's trying to get across, and I adore it. And so I'm trying to get back into kind of the wealth of knowledge that I had when I was going to school, and I'm purchasing books and along with to go sit by the ones that I have yet to read that I've owned forever. But I think reading is my main source of getting back in touch with the words that I want to use to express myself. And the reason that I even bring it up is because I really feel like I'm a lover of words and communication as a Mercury-ruled girl. And I think that it's my biggest frustration in life, kind of underlying, is when I can't express myself fully, or I am not understood, or, you know, the result of that, like being misunderstood. So words are really all of the paint colors that you use to create like your masterpiece and to express what's in your heart and soul and what's in your mind. And wow, tangent. But that is where I'm at with my reading, with my vocabulary, with my self-expression. Okay, so I have 2 more decks that I am selling, gifting. We'll see what happens with them. But I know this is like a very big shocker, and just hear me out, okay? The Otherworld Tarot is incredible. I love everything it stands for. I love that there's a spoonie in the Lovers. I love that it talks about a world that has been broken down and rebuilt, because if you want to get political for like a half of a second, I personally feel like that is what is necessary to have the type of world that we deserve and that we believe in. And then I will redact all of that. So I'm not trying to start a political conversation with anyone, and I definitely am not educated enough to pretend to know how to run a country. So let's get back to the next world. I love this deck, but even just like the backs, this is not my art style. And it's not my art style to the point where I never really want to use it. And that's heartbreaking, because it's wonderful. I even love the size. I love the associations. Like, even the things that people might think are not the best things about this deck, I get it and I appreciate it and it's great. I'm just gonna, because this deck is so big, I'm gonna show you some cards before I show you what I'm going to be using instead. It's wonderful. This is so wonderful. I love all of the ideas that are being expressed. I even love all of the images. Here's the spoonie I was talking about. I love all the images too. I just am not a fan of the style of art. And it makes me not enjoy using this deck as much. I know that that is like sacrilegious, and I am so sorry. It is a complete me problem. Even all the yellow, like as a Gemini, everyone says like, oh, your color is yellow. And what? Yellow can suck my dick. Like, what? I do not feel connected to yellow whatsoever. And I always resent that any like aesthetic thing for Gemini is always yellow. Wow, we're getting so personal. Okay, I'm so sorry. So in place of this wonderful deck that I never use, what was I looking for? Okay, I was looking for something that maybe had like a punk rock kind of attitude and voice. So I thought immediately of the Slutist Tarot. I was thinking of a world that existed without the gender norms and binary and the patriarchy that like looms over and kind of chains us all up, no matter what our gender is, in its own way, and that's the Silicon Dawn. I was thinking of a deck that shows different types of bodies, different types of self-expression, and a sort of kind of abstractism and joy, which is the Many Queens Tarot. So I think these three really serve the purpose for me of the Next World. Do they do anything as well as the Next World book does? Absolutely not. And I'm not trying to say that they do. But let's look at some of the cards. All right. I just want the Next World Tarot to be used and loved, you know, and appreciated. What do we got? We've got amazing self-expression. We've got a plethora of non-binary expression. We've got different bodies. We've got different skin colors. We've got different lifestyles. We've got different interests. I feel like the girl who stands on the sink and she's like, I love my school, and I love my friends, and I love my pajamas, and I love my family, and I can do anything good. Like, that's how I sound. If you don't know that video, please go watch it. And it also has art that I really enjoy. Colors I really enjoy. It has worlds that exist where it's like, fuck the patriarchy. Like, the patriarchy doesn't exist in these worlds, which is great. So let's look at a few more cards. I do have to admit, you know, this is the only deck that really shows the world. You know, like, they have good world building. Like, this is good world building a little bit, but, or maybe character building, let's say that. But these two decks aren't as good at showing the actual world and what it kind of looks like and what it's about. This is probably the only one that does that, and that is something I am missing and I don't have in replacement of the Next World Tarot. I do use the Many Queens. I haven't used Slutist in a while, and every time I look at it, oh, here, yeah, there's a white card. Every time I look at the Slutist, I'm like, oh yes, I need to get back to this because this feels good. And the Silicon Dawn I talked about in my collections videos, that it's intimidating for a lot of reasons, but so worth diving into. So I think I need to start a list of guidebooks I need to read front to back. Maybe that would be a good video idea. And the Silicon Dawn would definitely be one of them. All cups. Okay, let's do one more. I love it. I love it. And I love the Next World, and I wish I was... I don't want to say I wish I was a Next World girl, because I like the girl I am. I like the aesthetic I have. I like what speaks to me. But I do feel bad because I know how special Next World is, and I know how good it is. But when aesthetics are such a big deal to you, you can't... that part of the whole experience can't be discredited, you know? And even though I want to be able to like it more visually, it's just not my thing. I fully appreciate it visually, though. Do I think it's spectacular? Like I said earlier, the images are great. They're just not my style. Okay, so our last little set here is the Star Spinner Tarot by Trungles. This is wonderful. I say that about every deck. Like, I wouldn't have bought them if I thought they were bad, you know? And I just don't... Do I use it? I think it's so pretty. Because I love Trungle's art. This is kind of the opposite, right? I love Trungle's art, but I don't really love this deck as far as the substance of this deck. I love it. I love this art. Like, I don't want to get rid of that image. But that's the images are the only reason I want to keep it. And I don't know what to do. I feel like I should get... I hope that, like, Trungles makes a book. Like, how do I get rid of this? Literally, it's hard. I don't know, you guys. I don't know if I can get rid of this one, but let me show you just because, like, oh, It's too pretty. It makes me like speechless. Certain cards, just certain cards. I should do that thing that Danny Mystic does where she goes through a deck and she'll do like a pile for cards she likes, a pile for cards she loves, and a pile for cards that she doesn't really like. Like it's neither here nor there, or she doesn't like. Like neutral, yes, no. Or yes, love, no. Like, I'm neutral about this. I don't even know where I would put that. Like, I don't really care about... I don't know. There's probably like 10 cards in here where that I love, 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 love. I wish this was an Oracle deck. Maybe that's what it is. Like I just discovered as looking at it at the moment. Yeah, I guess I wish that was an Oracle deck and I'd probably use it more. Because there would probably be less of the cards that I don't like. Okay, so these are my replacements. Another Trungle deck that I want to use more, that is just the cutest little thing that I cannot get rid of. And the Tarot of the Divine, which feels like home. Like my childhood, like my inner world when I was a kid. To a certain extent, you know, like this art style didn't exist in my brain. And there are art styles that you will see in maybe a video that I do of decks I wish existed that did exist in my brain when I was a kid. But this is just so well done. And I really think the combination of these two decks can take the place of the Trungle's, I'm sorry, the Star Spinner. So these are the backs. They even look cute together. Oh my gosh, stop. Like, I'm not conflicted about any of these. I'm not confused by any of these. All of these cards make me happy. Every single one. And it's not that Star Spinner doesn't make me happy. It's just that there are certain cards where I'm like, meh. And then what's the point of having all three and splitting my time up between all three if I don't absolutely love all three? So that's my thinking there. I'm thinking, like, should I make this an oracle? Could I do that? Like, if I trimmed it, if I got rid of the cards I didn't like, is this heresy? Am I talking heresy here? If I got rid of, like, say, this much and this much, and just cut the white borders off, and put my own keywords. I've never made my own oracle deck, but, like, I don't want to say goodbye to certain images. I think that could really, really work. Oh my gosh, my first modding project, my first deck project. Okay, it's decided. I don't know when that's happening, but that's what I want to do. Yay! Okay, that's it. Those are the decks I'm getting rid of. Let me know if you're interested in any of them. I'd love to do a trade. I have a long wish list. I'd love to make new friends. I want to say thank you for being here. Thanks for being curious. Thanks for being my new friend. And you know what they say. My mom's coming. I gotta go.